Alright, a quick update on these trailer brakes for the Unimog. I had asked in a previous video for some help figuring out these trailer brake relay valves. I'm pretty sure that the engineers at Mercedes-Benz were madmen when they designed them, but that's besides the point. They're also the ones that put a 110 horsepower in a vehicle that weighs 8,000 pounds. So, nonetheless, a nice gentleman had responded, kind of filled in the blanks of stuff that I had figured out but didn't quite totally understand, and kind of putting me in the right direction. I eventually ended up putting a Wabco valve in it, brand new from eBay. I believe it was military surplus. It had a, cage number and stuff on it. But it is a Wabco valve. It was metric fittings, so that was cool. I'm guessing it's probably for the 419s. Nonetheless, it didn't quite work, and I could not figure out why. And I asked on Ben's World, and there's a gentleman on there, Trucker, I believe, and he is super knowledgeable and always more than willing to give you pictures and documentation and help out there. But it is currently fall in the great state that I live in the wonderful United States. And we got snow, so that's kind of cool, but the leaves are falling down, and I kind of really need that trailer to be up and running so I can take all the leaves to the green waste facility. Not that there's anything wrong with leaves, but I just like to pick them up. And we got a lot of them, and I've actually got a nice little pile over there. So far this year, the cyclone rake has been instrumental in cleaning all this stuff up. It's probably saved my wife and I like 20 hours of work so far. But I have a lot of trees, a lot of big trees, and they have a lot of leaves, so we're not out of the woods yet. But so when I put this valve in, what I did is I used this Wabco valve. I think it's a part number, let's see if I can get it in there, 973005210, I think. I was able to find a schematic for it and figure out the 43 was the trailer brake control valve for the spring brake chamber parking brake. I think this is 21 and 22. Real quick message here, I actually screwed up on that layout, so if you're referencing this for your own truck, check the end of the video. Let's see, 41 and 42, I think. Those go to the cab. So white line, black line. This is just nylon tubing. This is the polyamide stuff. This will get replaced. I ran out of the nice German stuff, so I used the cheap stuff to make sure it all worked. 11, I believe, is just blocked off, and I put positive pressure into 12. It comes out 11. So I think that's all the same chamber, same cylinder. And then, what is that? 22. 22 goes to the trailer. So up in here, there is the factory dual circuit protection valve, Wabco. Some nice new banjo fittings on that from Bellmetric. I made the bracket for that, made the new bracket for this Wabco valve, put some speed holes in it because you got to, right? And then on the back of the Mog, we've got yellow and red glide hands. This is your positive light pressure. This is your control. We've got Wabco exhausting valves. So turn this one on, fills the air brake chamber on that. Turn that one on, it controls the relay valve. And we'll go under the hood real quick, and I'll point out, it's kind of a mess under this hood. The wiring is kind of in shambles. So on the bottom side, we got the yellow or the white line. Top side is black polyamide. And you can see actually, Matt had ran out of those banjo fittings. So he sent me a couple of fittings. That's the rubber line, that's a polyamide line. I was able to weld them together. But what I didn't do is I did not have this jumped. So for my in, I now have this through T, but I didn't jump it over to 43. I had this plugged off. And for whatever reason, I would turn everything on and the brakes would just set on the trailer and I couldn't control them at all. So finally, after scratching my head for a while yesterday, I took another video and I was asking for help, and I'm like, well, let me just try this real quick. So I jumped it and it worked. So you have to have positive pressure into 43. That's your parking brake, so it tells it that it's off. I guess that I could probably run the valve if I wanted to off of the parking brake, off the hand cylinder that would dump air out of that, and it would set the parking brake on the trailer, but there's no reason to. So without any more jabbering, let's see how this works. I've got air compressor from the chicken coop, ran over, shop air, so the truck's not running. I don't think it's going to kick on, so it shouldn't be too much louder. But if we turn this valve on, you'll hear air rushes into the chamber on the trailer, has an air tank on the trailer. So this valve loosen means that the parking brake is off, but if I set it, maybe. Oh, because there's positive pressure right now, the parking brake is off. But if I dump the air out of that red line, parking brake sets. Add air to it, releases the parking brake. Now, when I turn the other valve on, the relay valve system, here's something actuating that. Something is definitely hissing on me, so that's a little bit frustrating. But I will come try and set this phone here up so we can see what's going on. I don't know, this looks like it might be a tripod. We'll set it under the trailer, and when I hit the brakes in the truck, you should be able to see that move. So if I'm not a liar, those chambers should have filled up and moved the cable pulled on brakes. This trailer is interesting. It also has a handbrake, so you can set the parking brake by hand. You set your load here, so loose, all the way loose. Light load, half load, full load. That's the most pressure. So I guess loose, empty, half load, full load. And at some point today, I'm gonna hook up to this thing and drag it out and see how the brakes work. So hopefully that should help somebody figure this out if they wanted to add trailer brakes back to their Unimog and not use the giant wad of a valve. It doesn't have the proportioning valve. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna be towing, 80,000 pounds in that trailer. I'm not gonna be towing with a bunch of stuff on the bed of this. I just want the brakes to kind of work in that trailer. I'm hauling leaves with it. But at least now I can say it works. I'm quite happy with that. All right. Till next time, greetings from beautiful states in the US where there's snow on the mountains. Just got back with the first run on down the road with that trailer. Tows remarkably well for what it is. Almost like it was made to go behind this Unimog. Actually it wasn't. I think these were supposed to go behind the 404s, but nonetheless. You can definitely feel it back there. It gets a little bit slower, but it's a Unimog. We're used to that. I did make a boo-boo on the, make a boo-boo, who says that? I screwed up. I effed up. Black goes to the top, white goes to the bottom. So if you're following along earlier and trying to reference this, flip those from what I said earlier. It was retaining pressure in there, and basically my entire brake system was retaining pressure. It was stuck on, and I could not drive forward. I could not back up. I was trying to overpower the brakes, and the trailer brakes were locked on. So that was weird, but I know the trailer brakes are just going to leak out. But let's set the parking brake and turn the valve off. Cool.